Hey everybody, this is Nick, aka Phaserbrain. Major changes are coming to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes when it comes to fleets and ships. This has major implications for whether or not you should invest a lot in pilots and in ships. I'm going to change my personal strategy in the short term and avoid investing too heavily in those. I think you should do the same. In this video, I'll explain that in a bit more detail. So, the more powerful our crew members are, I call them pilots, the more powerful their ships are. So I've been debating whether I should allocate resources to gearing up my lower gear pilots or gearing up others, like my bounty hunters. In my case, aside from Boba Fett, there's no twofer. As a free-to-play player, I have to pick pilots or non-pilots. Now, with the rework to ships coming, I would advise holding off on splurging on any particular crew member, or ship for that matter. At least for a little while, because we have no idea what the reworked ships will come out like. That suggests that it's okay to focus on your non-pilots for now, right? For example, I might want to focus on bounty hunters because there's a bounty hunter event and bounty hunters are needed for special territory battles and I know I need to gear them up and level them up. Plus, the current reward structure for ships isn't that different if you're ranked 21 or 200. Let's take a look. Right, so here. You could get 1,300 if you rank 21. If you slide all the way to 200, you're only losing 100. Now, compare this to the squad arena. Where slipping from 21 to 200 will cut your crystals in half. And crystals are super valuable all over the game. But with the fleet arena, if I slip out of the top 100 in towards 200, no big deal, right? So what? Now, while Fleet Arena tokens are important for getting more ships, characters, and Zetas, I would lose very little by slipping a lot in the fleet rankings. Whereas, I can get some sweet rewards elsewhere in the game by investing gear there, like Mother Talzin shards in the Bounty Hunter event. So again, that suggests not going crazy with gearing up pilots right now, right? Wrong. Here's where my big number one prediction comes in. And I have three predictions. The first one, and perhaps the biggest one, is I predict a rework of the arena prize structure. Not just a rework of ships, but of the prize structure. I think the developers want the competitiveness and variety of the squad arena to be, mirrored in the fleet arena. So I think the prizes in the fleet arena will be better after the rework. We might see a more aggressive reward curve for the fleet tokens. And we might even see crystals be awarded below the top 20. That would be awesome. Now, I don't have proof of this. I haven't heard anyone else say this, but I do smell a change here. Not only that, but there will be new game currency from fleet challenges or fleet events, and I suspect the prizes for those might be pretty good too. If my prediction is true, then we actually should be allocating gear to pilots as opposed to non-pilots. However, since we don't know which pilots to invest in just yet, I would save gear for multiple pilots until a little while after the ship rework is released. For your ships that are at higher star levels, but that have pilots that don't have very high gear levels, I would be very thrifty with gear that could be used for those pilots and save that gear. For example, let's take a look at Biggs Darklighter here. Now, his ship's been super important, so I've been hoping to get him to gear 12 for a little while. I have him favorited. But I'm not putting gear into him. Like, here's something I could give him right now. I'm not giving it to him. Same thing if we look at TIE Fighter Pilot and First Order TIE Pilot. They're not at gear 12 yet. I have them favorited, I have them flagged, but I'm not giving them gear I have available. And so I'm going to save my Carbantes and other gear that's common among pilots that I would like to gear up a little bit and be thrifty with that. That's because I don't know which ones are going to be good, and if the fleet arena tokens become more important after the rework, I may change my mind about whom I really want to gear up. And so that's why I'm saving right now, and I recommend you do the same. So it's possible these ships and their pilots just may not be that important after the rework. It's hard to say. So that's why I'm not going bananas with getting any ships or crew members geared up or leveled up right now. So what I'm saying is, don't choose between your pilots and your non-pilots today. Choose neither. Choose your pilots and your ships tomorrow. By tomorrow, I mean after the rework. If there were ever a time to hoard gear for pilots and crystals and fleet arena tokens for ships, it's now, because this will likely be the biggest rework to characters or ships we have ever seen in this game. So far, a small number of characters have been reworked periodically, like the bounty hunters recently, but we're looking at an overhaul to potentially the entire array of ships. That's huge. So save your fleet arena tokens for ships and your shard store and guild store currency and crystals for gear for pilots. I think you won't regret it, whereas you may regret being low on resources when you realize you really need to change directions with your ship and pilot investments to reap the new fleet arena, fleet challenge, or fleet event rewards. I have a couple of other predictions too. My second prediction is I think we're going to have a structure where there are multiple meta squadrons with none of them being too dominant over the others. For example, Meta Squadron A could beat Meta Squadron B, B could beat C, C could beat D, D could beat A. That way, no leading combination of fleet commander and ships is overly dominant. All of them have particular weaknesses to at least one other fleet commander and set of ships. I suspect this is what the devs wanted in the first place, and I think it's what they've worked hard to achieve in the squad arena. Right now in the squad arena, you have Palpatine teams, Jedi Training Ray teams, Rex teams, and a sprinkling of Night Sister and Commander Luke teams. Woohoo! And they're all highly competitive right now. And I think that's the goal for the Fleet Arena as well. Right now, Fleet Arena is just stale. There's no other word for it. You look at the ranks, and in the top 100 and beyond, you just see Thrawn, Chimera, and very similar combinations of ships. Mostly a certain number of Empire ships and Big Starklighter. It's just, it's boring, it's stale, it's not good right now. And, the devs have already said, they expect to see a lot more viable combinations after the rework, but I think it will be this particular matrix approach where A beats B, B beats C, etc., without any one overly dominant meta that's going to take place after this. And look, if I have actually adopted a Thrawn and Chimera squadron, which I finally did this week after fighting so hard to stick with Akbar till now, then it's bad. Now, related to this, my final third prediction is that there will be an additional secondary rebalancing of ships not too long after the big ships rework. An aftershock to the earthquake, so to speak. That's because the devs know by now that their efforts to balance out the ships won't pan out exactly the way they foresaw, because we always figure out new exploits that mess with their intended balance pretty quickly. They've said as much. Now, I highly doubt they would rework any ships they just reworked in this, what I'm calling Aftershock, but they may do one or more of the following. A, they may hold off on reworking the capital ships for the big update until some time has passed afterwards. B, they may release a new capital ship or two, Separatist, Resistance, I'm just guessing. Or C, they may release new ships into the mix. All to counter any meta that's too dominant unintentionally. Again, if these predictions pan out, they call for saving, but also not splurging as soon as the rework comes out. And I know it's tough not to spend what you have as it comes in. Believe me, I've gone on some binges and cried for days afterwards as my free-to-play ass slowly built back my crystals or whatever else I blew. But again, this is the time to save. Trust me. Now, I'm going out on a limb here by making these predictions. It is possible I'm wrong, but I'm telling you this. I made this video because I have a good feeling about this. But, I hope you'll put your faith in me and believe that, this is a special time to save for later when it comes to ships and crew members. Take it from the guy who's making a Commander Luke team work in the squad arena because he knew when to hold back on the subsequent metas. And I think this is the same kind of scenario. There's special times when you want to save and hold back and invest wisely, especially if you're free to play. and this is one of those times. So I hope you found my predictions useful. I hope they change your strategy. I hope those strategies pan out. I want to know what you think about my predictions. I want to know what strategy you're taking, if you're going to save or you're just going to be like whatever. And I definitely want to see what happens after the rework and after what I believe will be the aftershocks to the rework. And I look forward to talking to you about all of that when it happens. So bye for now. This is Nick, aka Phaserbrain, signing off, and I'll see you around the galaxy.